In our last episode, we picked up our brand new Toyota Tundra and took it up to mainline overland for a full build out. In this episode, we're taking our rig to 4-wheel campers, where we'll be installing our new camper in addition to some finishing touches. During our cross-country journey, we pitched our tent directly on our new Norweld flatbed. Because, well, why wouldn't you want to do that? If you're wondering why we swapped out our stock bed for the flatbed, allow Owen to explain.
We did a flatbed with Roxanne, and the thing about it is that we just love the floor plan that you get with the flatbed 4-wheel camper. The side entry allows for just a little bit different configuration, and we love having the rear dinette and kitchen and just kind of like having this open area in the center that kind of gives everything a distinct place. So it just feels more roomy.
These bins are so much nicer.
Yeah.
The Norweld flatbed trays have a ton of exterior storage, and everything that was a truck bed before, if you were going to use a slide-in, becomes storage for us on the interior of the camper. I feel like I've said this 1,000 times. Storage is king when you live on the road. We needed to go with whatever was going to give us the most storage, but I'm also just a huge fan of the layout.
When we got the truck done and drove it across the country, we drove it straight to 4-wheel campers and we got the camper installed. And seeing that was pretty wild. We didn't get to see the camper go on Roxanne, so this was kind of the first time to see the forklift moving the camper straight onto the truck.
Right about there.
And to see that camper come down and just be like, we nailed this. It just looked so good. It really completed, it just like completed the whole look. It was so satisfying too, just like knowing how much work had gone into getting to that point, and to see a vision literally come to life before your eyes was a pretty special moment. So before we had the stripes and it was just the camper, it was kind of giving Star Wars vibes. It kind of felt like a little stormtrooper rig. I thought it looked great. I thought it looked great just as it was, but obviously the stripes are, I mean, you can't look at that truck without smiling. They're just the icing on the cake. The inspiration behind the stripes is a reference to Amelia, which was the Sun Raider that kind of put us on the path to having a 4-wheel camper. I think that vehicle really, from a visual standpoint, spoke to who Owen and I are creatively and aesthetically. And it kind of felt like the rig that never quite came to pass.
So it's kind of trying to take the aesthetic of the Sun Raider with the practicality and everything else that we love of the 4-wheel camper and Tundra. We chose the Tundra again because of Roxanne. We love that truck. It's been bulletproof, reliable, has all the power and capability that we need. And it just kind of felt like a no-brainer once again to just kind of go with what we know works.
But I feel like one of the biggest reasons from a technical standpoint, aside from just like pure love and affection, is when you're considering international travel, you need to consider part availability where you're headed. And since we're kind of looking into global international travel, there's very few brands, Mercedes and Toyota. Obviously, we're gonna go with Toyota.
What's really interesting is like the fact that, you know, it is a Toyota, it's a new platform, but some of like the parts being selections that can still work from vehicles that were 30 years older, that we're literally using a piece for that vehicle on this build. You know, it just speaks to, you know, if you have a problem, you might be able to find a part for an 80 series Land Cruiser anywhere in the world, and that's gonna work on your 2023 Tundra, which is hilarious and awesome at the same time.
We found that with other Toyota platforms that you have crossover parts between platforms,
bearings,
and
differential
generations. So no surprise that there are Toyota parts from older vehicle generations that are potentially, you know, compatible. So,
more easily fixable like anywhere in the world.
yeah.
I think the idea behind this truck was really to kind of perfect what we had in Roxanne. As the years have gone by, you know, some of the things about Roxanne, like our power system, we're starting to feel a little bit just not quite up to snuff because of our new needs with things like Starlink. We've got more camera gear now, like our careers are changing, and so our needs are changing too. And while Roxanne still met everything, we're trying to make this truck in a way that it's future-proof. And so I think that we were kind of reaching the limits of Roxanne, and the idea was to kind of push the limits and, again, just perfect what we already had. And I think that we've really accomplished that with this truck.
Some of the key differences between Roxanne, our previous rig, and Jolene, this new one, is obviously the truck. We went from a 2019 Toyota Tundra to a 2023. There's a ton of modernizations that have happened in the interior, the screen, the CarPlay, a lot of things that just kind of maybe elevate day-to-day life and comfort. This truck is incredibly comfortable on long drives, so that's really lovely.
We've got some different options in the camper that we didn't have before. We opted to nix the indoor shower in favor of storage, just because with 4.5 years of experience, we realized we just really didn't use it.
And then I would say one of the other major differences as far as the camper is concerned, because it is also the exact same type of camper we had before, is the power system. We went from 200 amp hours of power to 405 with Dakota Lithium because their batteries, we can fit more into the same amount of space. And then Red Arc, we have the Red Vision system along with the Manager 30 and a 1500 watt inverter. So we went from a 300 watt to a 1500 watt.
Just to make sure that we can power all of the things we need with all of the new camera gear, the Starlink, our laptops, of course the rice cooker.
And then just to have this incredibly powerful management system, we're able to connect our phone to it, be able to turn the lights on from the cat. It's just, the technology upgrades are, by and large, I would say, some of the most notable differences between the two rigs.
So it feels like, even though it kind of looks the same, there's actually a lot of differences behind the scenes. Jolene looks finished, but there's still a few small tweaks we're gonna be doing in the coming months as we kind of fine-tune everything and get it into its final state. One of those is probably trying to figure out a fairing for the roof rack to help with aerodynamics. I think that there's a few areas of opportunity for aerodynamics to help with our gas mileage, because our gas mileage isn't quite what we're hoping for right now, and I think that we can do better.
And additionally, we're wanting to have some way of storing additional gas and a way of storing our trash and recycling on the outside of the truck, because right now all that's in the cab, and it's pretty gross to carry your trash and recycling in the cab of your truck. So we're trying to find a way to get that out.
The other thing we're gonna work on is the rear seat storage. Right now it's kind of a bottomless pit, which we did intentionally just to figure out how we wanted to use it and what we wanted to store in it. Now that we kind of have a better idea of what kind of stuff we're putting in there, we need to work on some shelving and some organization within that storage. One of the other things we're looking at is upgrading our USBs to be higher voltage so that we can charge our laptops from it, just to minimize the use of the inverter. Any of those small tweaks that kind of boost our efficiency are all kind of things that we're looking to do just to make our power system last even longer.
We're also planning on installing Starlink so it is permanently mounted to our roof and hardwired into our power system. This will be amazing because we won't have to put it out every day. And by hardwiring it into our system, it's also going to cut its power consumption by half because we're no longer going to need to use the inverter. I can't tell you how nice that will be. Putting that thing out on a daily basis is the bane of our existence. Otherwise, I don't know. I think that we're pretty much there.
If I had to pick one favorite thing on Jolene, it'd probably be the flatbed tray. I think that the new flatbed has a much better look, first of all, but then I love the pull-out drawer. It is so much space, and we can put lots of things that are like long and big that we didn't really have a place for before. Plus at camp, it kind of acts as like a tabletop, which is silly to love so much, but I do, and you can't stop me. I just love like practical use things, even though it's not like the sexiest thing out there. I just feel like that's a really useful thing.
This is gonna sound annoying, I think at the end of the day, but I think that my favorite part about this truck is when I look at it, I smile. It's just so clearly our truck. Maybe it's not that way to everybody else, but to Owen and I, when I look at this truck, I see all of our history on the road. And this is just kind of a culmination of everything that we've done, hopefully everything that we're going to do. This thing is gonna take us to some incredible places, and this was the last step before we ship internationally. So like this is our ticket out of here, baby. I also just wanted to make emphatic mention of our gratitude for all of our sponsors and brand partners. This truck would not have happened without them. It is not lost on us how lucky we are to have their support, and they make so much possible, and we're endlessly grateful to them. They've given us freedom to keep moving, and we're so appreciative of that. So thank you.
Mac said it better than me, so we'll just use hers.
These videos mostly covered the whys behind this build, but if you're looking for more of the specifics, we've posted a detailed walkthrough covering all of the components. If you haven't already, check that out and subscribe to our channel to follow along with our journey around the world in Jolene. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you down the road.
It's like excessive crunching noises.
I feel like this is gonna look really awkward.
Really starting to feel like home now.